Today, our panel takes a look at the impact on American institutions the first 100 days of Trump 2.0 have had. Now, the right of a free press, it's been ingrained since our founding, but in a little over 3 months, Trump has used threats of weaponizing government to make major media players either write checks or curb unflattering coverage.
Don't you need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president?
I don't know. I have to respond by saying again, I have brilliant lawyers that work for me, and they are going to obviously follow what the Supreme Court said.
Only one president of the United States in American history could possibly have said, I don't know, to the question, do you need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president? Every president prior to Donald Trump knew the answer to that question. They always knew the answer is one word, yes. Donald Trump talks about his predecessor in office more than any other president has ever talked about their predecessors. And in that same interview on Meet the Press, Donald Trump called President Biden, quote, a stupid person and a very stupid person. Donald Trump said at least one thing in the interview that was true.
Well, prices are already going up on some popular items.
Whoa.
Tires, strollers.
This is such a dishonest interview already.
When he's right, he's right. Donald Trump is the dishonest part of that interview. It was already a dishonest interview made dishonest by Donald Trump, and it remained a dishonest interview in every reply Donald Trump gave. It was a standard Trump dishonest interview from start to finish, with Donald Trump lying at every turn, and with Donald Trump proving once again that he is, to use his words, a stupid person, a very stupid person.
You're with me. I always say I'm for all of the above on the resistance. And you said, many Democrats seem to have finally hit forget. And before the cynics say this doesn't matter, blah, 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 all of this matters. When you treat the arguments of those who operate in 100% bad faith as legitimate and actually debate them, you render them legitimate to the viewing audience. When you mock them mercilessly and tear them a new one, you send a very opposite message about who's authentic, will use their power, and won't back down. And so, to our point about courage and cowardice, you said the more Republicans are wrecked in front of cameras, we protest in huge numbers, Democrats filibuster, go on more tours to speak to audiences across the country about Trump's unique combination of incompetence, cruelty, and corruption, televised shadow cabinet meetings with popular policy proposals, proposed legislation on said policy, the more we win. You said at this point the entire GOP agenda is poison, their messenger is even worse. We must step into the breach, project confidence, and message every single damn day, take control of the narrative. And you said if we do this, electoral blowouts headed our way this year and next will be epic. Boy, I hope so. I mean, I have to hope, some of I'm not sure that polling is off for Democrats when you see the numbers that Bernie and AOC are getting, all the numbers in these town halls where Republicans are too scared to show up. I did see one poll that said if the election were today, Democrats would win by 7. I don't know if you saw that one.
I saw that too,
yeah.
the House poll. And we always have to keep in mind that they've so gerrymandered a bunch of states and skewed things that we have to win by, if we come out even with them or win by even by 2 or 3 points, they win. So we do need to win by that amount. But the reason why I said all that, I'm going to write a longer piece and really lay it out in sort of detail, everything like that you read there. But I think it's really important because I think you hear people on our side sometimes say, oh, well, so they just made a speech. What does that matter? And that really frustrates me and actually pisses me off. Now, if that's instead of action, if that's instead of filibusters, if that's instead of Chris Van Hollen risking, frankly, his life and health to go down to El Salvador, if that's instead of all the other things, you're right. That you can't just be that. It needs to be a multi-pronged strategy. But I'm sorry, like some of the biggest moments in the history of the world, from we'll fight them on the beaches, we'll fight them in the streets, to I have a dream, have been somebody who's not, is either sometimes not even a politician, taking a huge moment and galvanizing the public through an amazing speech, amazing sort of display. And that is as important to have that.
Well, you picked out another of my favorites. You said you'll want to pay close attention to Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois if you aren't yet. He met this moment. That's what we're looking for. I don't think it has to do with age necessarily. It's who is meeting this moment, this very extraordinary. Yep. And you said, by the way, it's proof that while most billionaires suck, there are a few great ones. JB is one of them.
I made sure to say Pritzker and Cuban, and I forgot to mention Buffett. There's some others. I don't know. You know, I know Mark a little bit. I don't know the other folks, but I mean, so far, like, I mean, what Pritzker is saying, the fact that he was one of the earliest ones in his State of the State to point out how quickly the Nazis consolidated power after they took over, right? He's a billionaire. He could be happy in life and just say, I'm okay. I can escape this country. No problem. But he's not. He's putting it on the line. And I think that's hugely important. People need to remember FDR was wealthy too. Yeah. And yet, you know, the founders were wealthy. I mean, sometimes you can't just say all wealthy people are bad, because there are people that have taken enormous risks, you know, when they could have just been happy with their situation and changed their country. And I think Pritzker is of that ilk. So I'm excited to see him out there. And the only other thing I'll say is, look, I've often said there's a correlation between age. And it's not as much that the folks are old as what it's when the time that they grew up, when Reagan was popular, and they can't seem to forget the old Republican Party for the new one that is unpopular and ridiculous. And, you know, I pointed out before, Sheldon Whitehouse, he must be, I assume, in his 70s, and he's fantastic. I hope Sherrod Brown runs here again, because I think he can win the seat here without Trump at the top of the ticket and the shape the GOP at the end of this year. And he's 72. So obviously there is a correlation. I want the Maxwell Frosts and Jasmines and AOCs and those types of people. But at the same time, and 40, 50 somethings, which in politics is actually young, is frightening by age. But, you know, your Swalwells, Ted Lieu's, and Gretchen Whitmer's, whoever. But we really do, like, the older folks, if they're doing their part, stay there and keep fighting.
Well, also, I love your jingle says you're profane, and so am I. And really, are there enough F-bombs for this point in our history? We were saying that they do these articles to, like, scare, you know, about, oh, you know, Democrats are being so profane. And who is it? Jesse Waters is like, oh, they're all swearing like drunken sailors to know, so hoping people will like them again.
Harris Faulkner is really clutching her pearls.
Oh, my God. So much clutch the pearls when Donald Trump is the most profane president we've ever had. I mean, first of all, who invites him to give a graduation address? He makes it all about himself, and he's like, oh, these tech bros are kissing my ass. I'm like, oh, how inspirational. But anyway, but I mean,
Donald Trump spent a while speaking about Arnold Palmer's penis. Right?
Thank you.
You can bleep me out on the show because I used a different word for that last time I was on.
Yes, you did.
Sorry.
But I love this.
Paula, profanity. Go ahead.
Paula said, dear whole Republicans, you have not changed me, as I've been calling you mother for a very long time. My 87-year-old mother calls you suckers and mother every day. My grandmother and grandfather used to swear a lot, but in French, so admittedly it sounded better. Therefore, I come by my swearing honestly. It has nothing to do with being a progressive liberal Democrat. It has everything to do with your being a bunch of stupid, condescending, dishonest, self-serving, cheating, apathetic heads who want to blow up the world only to prove what motherfuckers you are, to own the libs. You and off. You know what? That is a good letter.
That's
a good letter.
Send that?